What's up guys, today we'll be talking about the Microsoft Surface Pro 7, and there's actually not a whole lot new with this device compared to the Surface Pro 6 and even to the Surface Pro 5, but let's run through it anyway for anyone who's new and because a 1-minute video wouldn't be all that interesting, right? The build and construction of the Surface Pro 7 remains the same as last year. It's available in platinum or matte black. The one that I am reviewing is the platinum color. It's constructed mostly out of magnesium, and given its thickness, it's very rigid. There's no flex on this thing. The type cover is still a separate accessory and it will work with existing type covers. It's finished in Alcantara, which is kind of like a fabric material. It's comfortable to rest your hands on, but as always, you'll want to use this on a hard surface because the hinge doesn't give any structural support. If you need that, you're gonna have to go with the Surface Book. Given that the type cover hasn't changed, the keyboard and the trackpad also have not changed, and they are really nice to use. The trackpad is a bit small, but given the size they have to work with, I would much rather have a good, small trackpad than to have a cramped, bad keyboard. It is still a smooth and accurate trackpad. It's one of the best Windows trackpads out there. It's a really good trackpad, but it's just a small trackpad is all. The keyboard also has good key travel, excellent actuation force, the switches have great feedback, and it uses a standard layout with all of your multimedia keys in the function row with an LED lit function toggle to switch between function and multimedia keys without having to hold FN every single time you want to switch the function keys. It's still using the same 12.3 inch 2736 by 1824 3:2 aspect ratio touchscreen. It's still got the very comfortable 370 nits of brightness, solid color gamut and color accuracy, high contrast, and excellent viewing angles. It's actually the same panel as the previous Surface Pro 6. They have the same model number and everything. The bezels are getting quite old now, but they do have the Surface Pro X coming later this year with super thin bezels and other neat features if you want a higher end Surface Pro device. Just keep in mind that the type cover is different for the Pro X. They are not interchangeable with the Pro 7. The speakers are still mounted on the side bezels, firing directly at your ears, and they sound good. Impressive for such a small device, but in terms of absolute quality, they aren't amazing. They're just good. They're loud, good detail, bass response isn't really there, but that's fine. The thing that I noticed was if you cup your hands beside the speakers, it seems to direct significantly more of the sound towards you, making them sound louder with much better detail. It's a bit strange since they're already aimed directly at your ears, but that's just how it is. Ports with the Surface Pro 7 also remain mostly the same as last year, except they replaced the mini display port with a USB Type-C port. Of course, no Thunderbolt 3 here. You also have the Surface Connect port for charging and expansion, a USB 3 port, a headphone jack, and a micro SD card slot hidden behind the kickstand. It's running the new Intel 10th generation Ice Lake CPU, so either the dual-core i3 or the quad-core i5 and i7. The base model is gimped pretty heavily with only a 128GB SSD and 4GB of RAM, so a more realistic configuration would be the $1,200 quad-core i5, 8GB of RAM, and a 256GB SSD. That is really expensive, especially considering the dirt cheap prices of NVMe SSDs and the fact that the type cover is not included. The new Intel CPUs are low power chips geared for battery life, and I'm pulling about the same battery life as before, so 8 hours of light use, 90% brightness, couple tabs in Firefox, and Microsoft Word. The best part is that it actually supports charging through the USB Type-C port, so you can charge your device with someone else's Type-C charger if you don't have yours, and still keep your magnetic surface charger. It's also fanless, so it's completely silent, and of course since the type cover doesn't house the CPU, the keyboard and the palm rest area are never going to get hot. So that's the Surface Pro 7, a fairly minimal refresh. It got updated with the new Intel CPUs and USB Type-C, but for the most part it's the same good 2-in-1 device that it's been over the past few years. It has its pros and cons, but I think it does the keyboard, trackpad, and the display very well, better than most other 2-in-1 devices. If you want more performance or you want a solid hinge to use on your lap, you'll have to look at the Surface Book or potentially the Surface Pro X. But that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.